What is up, everybody? This is Recap Rewind. I'm J-Lag.
And I'm NB.
And we are recapping and reviewing Riverdale, Season 6, Episode 17, and it's called Chapter 112, American Psychos.
Ooh, don't forget, guys, stick around for the ending of the podcast. We're going to go through our recap roundups, your recap roundups, our best moments, best lines, MVPs, LVPs. Stick around for the end of the podcast for that.
As always, to our continuing listeners and our brand new ones, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Let's get into this episode, y'all.
Ooh, so this is the musical episode of the season.
Yeah.
This is it. What did you think of it?
I think for the caliber of us being like, this is the musical episode, it doesn't really compare to any of the other musicals that we've had.
Yep.
This felt like, you know, when they had that like Coyote Ugly moment and they sang on the bar, like there was like one song and then they moved on. There was like maybe like 3-4 songs in this entire episode. So I was like, okay, you're pulling from like one piece of work, the American Psycho Broadway musical, but like I don't feel like we got that the same way that we've gotten it in the past.
Yeah, I agree, 100% agree. I'm like, this doesn't really feel like a musical episode. I get what they tried to do with it. There obviously was more than like 1 or 2 musical songs, so like it technically, I guess, turned into a musical.
Yeah,
I did really love like the Betty ending song. I love that. I love the idea that you come into the episode thinking, who's the American Psycho? Like, is it that guy, Percival? And by the end of it, it's actually about Betty.
Yeah.
And
it's
like
really
that's the gag. Like I loved how they did that because
that gave me chills. Jeez.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Because throughout the episode, and I found this interesting, they kept saying he, right? They're like, he's gonna come. You know, if you're a serial killer, they never use they never use like she. They always said he's gonna be like this. And I'm like, well, there's female serial killers too. Like there's female murderers too. Like why aren't we talking about everyone? And then that moment I was like, I'm like, is it gonna be Betty? Like she's gonna sort of be that idea of the American Psycho.
And so in a way, like you've been always saying, like, is she the real, is she the TBK? This, I think, episode really like brought it to the head. Yeah. And I'd love to talk, I mean, obviously we're going to talk about like the ending and how it all kind of plays out, but it was an interesting way to kind of show her darkness in it while catching.
They played on it.
Yeah.
Sure. They played on it, and the ending was pretty crazy. So I definitely want to talk to you about that as well. Like a lot happened in this episode. So
lots happened. Yeah. All right, let's get to the top. So right off the top, Veronica is talking to Betty, Archie, Agent Drake. Charles, I guess, is like out of jail now. Like I guess
that's the thing. We were talking about this last week because you were like, no, he has to go back now. Like if he's fully healed, he has to go back to jail. Like how do you just stay out? Like
he's like, I was supposed to die, but now I'm not dead. So like I'm just like
I'm out now.
Yeah, like did they pronounce him dead and then he's just like skirting the law? Like what's happening right now? Anyway, he's there and he's kind of talking about SlaughterCon because it was kind of like a little bit of his idea as well and how they're gonna set it up. Veronica's like, please just don't bring any more murder to my casino. Like, can we just make sure that that doesn't happen? And this is the part that like kind of killed me, like, because it started right from the beginning of the episode. At one point in time, Drake is like, she's like, oh, don't worry, like I'll be there to protect you, Betty, like it's not a big problem. And then Archie had to be like, yeah, I'm gonna be there too.
I'll be there too.
And then the camera literally shows like Drake like giving an eye roll, like, and like looking at him.
Dude,
and I was
Drake
like,
was aggressive. Like
AGGRESSIVE.
He
like,
wanted
aggressive.
that pone on.
Yeah. She was like into it this episode.
Like she's like, move, bitch. Like to Archie. Like
she's like, fuck your relationship. I'm here now. I was like, okay.
I did love the whole like convention thing. Like it added so much humor to the episode. Like I did appreciate it.
And like low-key, I was like, this is kind of an interesting idea. Like I wonder if anyone would ever do this in real life.
Oh, I'm sure it's real.
That's interesting. Like people would go to that for sure.
Yeah, like
anyway,
every sicko in the world.
So they talk about the talks that they're gonna have, and then Kevin is gonna be singing a bunch of songs from American Psycho. Blah 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 blah. Cool, fine. Bye. So then it cuts to Percival talking to Frank, who at this point in time, Frank is dead to me. Like let's just say right now,
I don't
dead
get it.
To me.
Yeah,
dead to me. So he's talking to Frank, who's basically his only person left on his side. About
where's Reggie?
Not even in this episode. That's a really good question. Like I have no idea where he went. So talking to Frank about the strike and messing up the plans for him to like start this railroad. It turns out that Percival's also like trying to connect to like the power of Bailey's comet, which is coming like within a certain period of time to Riverdale, and the train needs to be done by then. Like at that point in time, it needs to be finished.
Right.
So,
and if they miss that, they have to wait like another
65 years.
65 years.
Yeah.
So was Bailey's comet in Riverdale, or am I thinking it's from Sabrina?
I know. I was thinking the exact same thing. I was
Right?
like, was it from Sabrina? No. So in Riverdale, that was the Bailey's comet where Abigail had to like use it to like do the transference out of her body. Like it had to happen at that moment. And it was the same moment that she was cursed like years ago by Fangs Fogarty's like whatever ancestor or whatever. So I think it was only in Riverdale, but I had it like, I was thinking about it too. I was like, have we heard about this already? I think it was only in Riverdale though. Anyway, so Frank just says, well, why don't you just like mind control everybody? And then Percival's like, okay, maybe that's what I'm gonna have to do.
Yeah.
Anyway, cuts to Tabitha and Archie talking with the strikers, and they offer, you know, they're like, I know you guys are out of work right now. I'm so sorry about that. But the strike, you know, we're trying to get this union together. Until then, you and your families are welcome to come to Pop's for some free meals until the strike is over. So that was nice. And then it cuts to kind of Tabitha and Archie catching up. They ask about Jughead comes up for the first, like one time this entire episode. And Tabitha basically says like he's in the bunker, like he's trying to like calm his mind or whatever. And it shows Jughead and he's really still struggling really hard with what's going on in the bunker. One thing I remembered, not to talk about like Riverdale and how it's can be very confusing. We also have to remember that the Rivervale version of Jughead is also in the bunker, like hidden away, typing away. Yeah. So like maybe because there's that connection specifically in that spot, it's like even worse. Like, because he's hearing the storylines that basically Jughead is coming up with in the other world, right?
Yes,
like that was,
there's a link there, 100 for sure.
So anyway, poor guy's having to deal with his mind. And then Archie even asked randomly, like, "Oh, is he drinking again?" And Tabitha's like, "No."
I did appreciate that, right? Because like it lends to like that whole like mental health thing. Like, Archie's like, "Is he good? Like, is my boy good? Like, make sure." And she's like, "No, he's all good." Like, I love that they're checking in on each other now.
It's good that they called him out. Yeah.
And
said like, "Oh, how is he doing?" It wasn't just like, "Oh yeah, Jughead's just not in this episode."
Yeah.
Anyway, so then it cuts to Tony and Cheryl, and they're talking, and Tony springs up that she's getting married to Mr. Fangs Fogarty, and Cheryl is like, okay.
She's like error, now I need to do something.
Yeah,
which to me, I was like, girl, you already knew she already knew they were together. She literally knows they had a baby together. Like, marriage is maybe probably the next probable step. The fact that she looked so gagged by it, I was like, but you probably would have, like, you should have known that it was coming.
I think a part of her is also like always wishing, like, marriage is so like final. So I feel like when she heard that, she was like
having a baby is like pretty final too.
I mean, that's pretty final too. Yeah,
like having a baby with someone is pretty fine. Like, not final, but like taking you away
you're like
from that
union.
person.
Yeah, you're like united at that point. For sure.
It just felt like almost like maybe before she was still like in her own like world, and now she's Heather, sort of and now she's more like Cheryl. Right. So she was like, oh my god, I need to stop this. And I was like, well, you could have stopped everything like months ago but you didn't do anything.
Yeah. So anyway, so she kind of talks about, so she's like, I'm so happy for you, whatever. She's obviously not happy for her. And then Heather comes in that moment. And then obviously Cheryl is like, oh yeah, this is my girl. Like, she's like my new friend, you know, Heather, she's here. She's like doting all over her. And she's like, yeah, we're reconnecting. And like, Tony's like, good for you, girl. Like, so happy for you. Yeah. And then she invites them to the Babylonium for like an after party, bachelorette party.
Yeah.
And then Cheryl's like, cool, we'll be there. Sounds good. And then they have like a little debrief moment, Cheryl and Heather talking. And Heather's like, so I know that's a little weird. Like she's sussing it out. Like, I'm sensing something. How are you feeling about it? And of course, Cheryl completely like just loses it on her. And she's like, I'm totally fine. It's not a big deal. Like, I don't really care about anything. I'm fine. And then she like storms off. And Heather's like, cool. Like, sounds good. And I'm also like, we'll definitely talk about it a little bit later, but I do love the fact that Heather's like this a new like foundation for Cheryl.
I do like her a lot in the show.
I like her a lot.
Yeah.
Like she's really doing a lot of good things for her. She's not like, because you'd think that a character like her would be like, oh, forget about Tony. She's such a loser. We shouldn't even go to her bachelorette party. Like you should just spend time with me.
Like, she's not like that at all.
Cheryl, heal yourself.
Are you good? Like yeah. And it's interesting that Cheryl really, the two love interests that she's had are like two really grounded, good, like, so far, anchors. Like we don't know Heather fully, but like really good anchors for her. So like it's an interesting like play, because sometimes when they introduce that second character, they're like evil or like jealous or like bitter,
or have like some ulterior motive.
Yeah, and maybe she still does. Like we don't know for sure, but like right now, like I do like Heather with Cheryl.
Yeah,
so.
same. So then it cuts to Babylonium, and then doors open. SlaughterCon has begun, and the
everyone's
first thing
like looking for like
everyone's
TBK, like as if this guy's gonna like roll up like first in line. Like,
take one ticket, please. Yeah. The American Psycho musical begins right off the top. Kevin does his number. What did you think? We didn't really talk about the numbers, but like, what did you think of like Kevin's number?
I didn't care for them. He just fucking annoyed me. Like, it's like giving the spotlight to a character that I could care less about. And this is the only thing that you do now. Like, you just do the musicals. Like, I don't know. He just like annoys me so much that I can't really get into it.
It's such a shame, right? Because I'm just like, I want to be excited for you, like in this moment that you're having, but like I really don't.
He doesn't exude American Psycho to me. Like he's just an American loser. Like, you know what I mean? Like the definition or like the thing of the American Psycho, like it doesn't. Originally, when I saw photos of the episode, it was Archie wearing the suit. So I was like, oh, so Archie's gonna be singing? Like I didn't understand it, but like. Yeah. Anyways, I wasn't crazy about it. What did you think?
I'm exactly feel the same way. I'm like, if it was anybody else, like maybe if it was Reggie, I would have been like, okay, like,
oh my god, I would have loved that.
You guys are doing something a little different, but like it's so typical to get Kevin to like do this exact thing.
How Reggie and Jughead are missing completely from the musical episode.
Yeah,
they never sing.
They never sing. They're like, we cannot sing. Do not make us do this. Thank you. But anyway, I totally agree with you. It was like an okay musical moment, whatever. Then it cuts to Betty, and she's in the crowd, and she looks over and she sees some guy in a black hood, and he's holding a knife and like walking toward her. So she grabs him and then like throws him into the back. They interrogate him. Turns out he's like this hyper fan, not even a super fan, like a hyper fan. Like he bought the knife. He has a mask, a black hood mask
from Eastleigh.
He bought a knife off of Eastleigh. I was like, okay, everybody relax. He bought this like the original knife that the Black Hood like stabbed people with. And he wanted to get her signature, and he even says something like you can kill me, like you're practically one of them. I'd be honored if I was your first kill. And Betty's like, get this person out of here. Like he is got some loose marbles.
But again, like already now we've started the focus on Betty, right? Like he turned that whole conversation into an obsession with her.
For sure.
He's like, you kill me, please. Like, I was like, what the like what are they like getting at?
There are people like that though. That's
for sure.
Like it's very, very interesting to see. So anyways, they kick him out, whatever. She's kind of just very turned off by the whole situation. Then it cuts to Percival going into Pop's diner and telling all of the workers who were sitting there with their families to get back to work. And I wrote down, so they all end up going. Fangs is the first one to kind of stand up and be like, no way in hell I'm going back. But then sure enough, he uses his mind control.
Out of here. And he's like, okay, sir.
He's like, I will leave now. And he like leaves, but then Percival's nose starts bleeding, which we'll explain a little bit later. But the one thing that I wrote down was like, I thought Fangs already knew about Percival.
Me too.
And how he's supposed to anchor himself
as
soon as he sees
thing. I was like, Fangs got this. Like, he's not going to let it get to him.
Totally
and then he did. I'm like...
He did. I was like, what the hell? It would have been better if, like, everyone else left and Fangs was the only one that, like, didn't leave.
He couldn't get them.
And then maybe he, like, knocks him out. Maybe Percival's just like, whack. Like, you're waste. I can't deal with you. But everyone else can come with me.
I literally thought he was putting on a show because I'm like, he must know how to anchor himself.
Yeah, and he did. Idiot. Like, I was like, what a waste man. Like, I can't believe you're useless.
Thanks.
So then it cuts to Drake talking about, I wrote it down because I was like, I had to look it up. Hybris Ophelia, which is the attraction, the sexual attraction to like killers and murderers.
So they don't say it at first, right? Like when they first introduce like the agenda, they're like,
Yeah.
and Drake is going to be talking about
Hyperbophilia,
and
yeah,
like
exactly.
she's like, and everyone's like, you can kind of see like Veronica's like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
She even says, she's like, what the hell is that? And I'm like, what is that? But we're gonna find out probably in the next like 4 minutes. And then
And
like
there we
she
go,
says it, and I'm like, oh, here we go.
Here we go.
Here comes
And
the attraction.
it was an interesting moment because like Betty's watching her from the outside, and then and Archie actually comes in at one point and hears it, and I think he like turned to her and he was like, that's kind of weird, like being attracted sexually.
He's like, I'm not trying to be judgy, but that sounds weird. I was like, yeah, you're judging.
Yeah, you're judging. And Betty's like, yeah, that is so weird. Like, right, I would never feel that
like
way.
Getting hotter, she's like, yeah. That's weird.
She's like, I gotta go. She's like, I gotta leave. But like, that's the thing. I was like, clearly they don't have that kind of conversation, which is interesting because I feel like we've always been speculating like how deep they've gotten in their darkness with each other. But clearly this is something that she tries to protect Archie from. Like she compartmentalizes, which is what she talks about
I don't
later.
fully agree with that because they do talk about it later too. She's like, I don't talk to Archie about my work, but she does. She
does, yeah.
I was talking to him the other day and we were talking how like what a nice scene that was. So like,
right.
I feel like they created this narrative for Betty and Archie.
Yeah,
but they
yeah.
already conflicted
kind of repaired
with it.
that. Yeah.
Because
yeah.
like she was talking to Archie about those things. So like,
yeah, for sure.
I didn't get that fully.
That's totally, I agree with you. It like kind of came back up again, and I was like, okay, I guess I know
Like
what you're trying to do.
If she never spoke to him about anything, and it led up to this, I'd be like, yeah, like she hasn't talked about anything.
Right.
But anyways,
so anyway, she's like, it's weird, or he's like, it's weird. She's like, yeah, right, cool. And then it cuts to Cheryl visiting Kevin, and she essentially wants to curse Tony and Fangs. She was like, would you like to curse? I don't know, this was really fucking messed
I'm like,
up.
Cheryl, I thought you were a little bit better than this. Like Kevin, yes, I would, but like Cheryl
didn't like this. So then it cuts to Tabitha and Archie and Tony talking, and they're talking about all the mind controlled strikers. Like Tony's like, yep, he's like, Fangs is definitely mind controlled. They're not even like paying attention to me. And Tony says like, or I think Tabitha says, we're going to try to get them to snap out of it and reground themselves by using music, and snap out of it. And I was like,
I thought this was very Stranger Things.
Very Stranger Things. Shout out to season 4. Check it out if you
like,
you
I'm
gotta
not
go
saying
watch
they
it.
copied Stranger Things because like that's different. I'm just saying like it reminded me of Stranger Things. Like,
very much
running
that.
up that hill.
Yeah. If they started playing that, I would have died.
Like, oh my God.
I'm like, you guys are literally just stealing people's
They don't
ideas.
have the budget.
Yeah, they do not have the budget for that. So they do say that they were probably going to try to do this song to get them to snap out of it because it seems that it might be harder.
Why didn't they think of this from the beginning?
I don't know. But they did say that. They said that Percival didn't do this from the very beginning to get them to all get mind controlled because he might not have a lot of power to do more than one person at a time. So they're like, okay, so since he's kind of at a weak moment, we might be able to just like get them out of it with this one song. So they're like, okay, cool. Then it cuts to Kevin and Cheryl performing this wedge spell. So she pulls out her book that I think it's the same book that she got from like a couple episodes ago, like that demon book. But anyway, I wrote down, this is like very, very manipulative, and I'm kind of disappointed in Cheryl. Like you just
I was
said.
very disappointed.
I was like, I don't even think CHONI fans would feel very comfortable about the fact that she's basically using magic for her advantage. I
did appreciate the spin on it, like the fact that later we find out that it went to the child, because I wasn't expecting that at all. Like here I was just thinking it's like going to be for her and Fangs.
Yeah.
And the fact that it took that dark of a spin, I was like, wow, Cheryl. Like she
You
still
really
doesn't
did that.
understand the lengths of like her witchcraft
Powers,
and the powers, right? And even Kevin was like, how do we know like what's going to be the wedge? She's like, it's just like random, like we don't know yet.
She's like, the universe will decide for us.
Yeah.
Like, I was
And
like,
it's
girl,
no, like
you can't do that. So anyway, then it cuts to Frank, and he meets the whole group at the railroad because they all are here. Archie's got his guitar, and all the families are standing behind them, and they start playing the song and start singing the song, and all the strikers slowly start to join, and Frank is like losing his freaking mind. He's like, "You're fired! You're fired!" Like at this point in time, Frank is worse than Percival. Like. Like Frank has got an issue.
I thought the same thing. I was like, you're literally like, what happened to you?
Like, why are you this? Like, why are you this way? Like, and this is why I wish. And like, this is kind of like, I know that you just said Stranger Things. A part of me feels like we should have seen a moment where like he like literally injects everything into Frank.
Exactly.
So we know that Frank is like this, just a diehard,
totally controlled.
Like, totally controlled. He has no mind of his own. Because at this point in time, I'm like, are you doing all of this? Are you just not able to snap out of it at all? Like, are you so far gone that you can't even get back through the underground? Like, you know, so like I just don't understand why they made him that evil, because I was like, Frank is a waste man now. Like, he's such a piece of shit. I don't even want to see him on my screen anymore. Which is unfortunate because I think he's really hot. So then it cuts to Drake and Betty, and they're talking. And she asks about Archie at one point in time. She's like, "Oh, so like, what's your like? So how's your boyfriend?
Like, how's the boyfriend?"
Yeah, or whatever. And then Betty's like, "Yeah, he's cool, whatever." And then she goes on to admit that she is very, very attracted.
It's just so not random, but like the timing was very random. Like, you're
timing
at a
is
fucking
totally
convention.
Off. Like, girlfriend, you're trying to catch a serial killer. Like, can you please relax?
But again,
like,
it just lends to the things of what's happening in the episode, like her talking about that thing, and like now she's saying she's attracted to Betty. If Betty's a serial killer, she's attracted to the serial killer.
Yeah, that vibe is there for sure. Yeah. And then also Betty, she kind of gets Betty to question her feels. She's like, "I don't know about you, but I've also been feeling these vibes from you, Betty. So like, how are you feeling about
it's like
me?"
Gaslighting.
Gaslighting her. And so she so then the next scene, because like she doesn't answer it goes to commercial break, whatever. Then the next scene that we see is Betty waking up in bed, and Drake is coming to like give her some coffee. She's wearing nothing but a t-shirt, like super sexy moment. And for that 5 seconds, of course, I was like,
but does she not say like, I'm with Archie?
She does say she's with Archie. She asked if like they're exclusive.
Yes.
And then she's like,
"No, I'm with Archie and like we're exclusive." And she's like, "Oh, but I got like vibes from you."
She's
and then
like, "How do you feel about it?" Yeah.
Yeah.
Then it shows that. Anyway, so for that moment, I was like, "Oh my gosh," she like actually went and slept with her. Like, how that happened?
Yeah.
And then like literally like 5 seconds later, she wakes up and it's a dream.
Yeah.
And then it shows.
But now she's sketching out because she's like, "Why am I dreaming about her?" Like,
exactly. It's in her subconscious. So then Betty and Archie are talking over breakfast, and it's like day 2 of SlaughterCon, and he's like, "I'm really like busy like with this whole strike thing. Like, is it cool if I kind of take a break today?" And Betty's like, "Yeah, obviously you don't have to come if you don't want to. If you're busy, it's totally fine." Like this time she's just like, just leave, because like I've already got these like lesbian feelings that I need to like uncover by myself. So like he's like, "Okay, cool." But I also was like, "Archie, it's only 3 days. Like your wife might like,
I know,
like, your girlfriend might die. Maybe like this is more important." Like,
I think
don't
the way
know.
he said it though, he was like, I'll come and then I'll
come
leave."
later.
Like, it's like half day,
later.
like kind of thing.
Half day moment. Yeah, she could be dead in the first half day, but okay, fine. So then it cuts to Cheryl, and she's visiting Tony and Fangs, and she's like thinking that everything's cool. She's like just checking in to see if her spell worked, I guess. And she's like, Tony's like, I don't know, like I'm not, like everything's not going well right now. Baby Anthony is not feeling well. Like he's got a fever and he won't stop crying.
And Fangs was like, "And my kid's like never been sick before. Like this
like,
is the only time he's ever been sick."
Yeah. So then Cheryl freaks out because she thinks it's a spell. She's like, "What time did it start at?" And she was like, "Yesterday afternoon, like when I did the spell." So she's like, "Fuck." So she runs home and she blows out these candles, and then Kevin basically starts freaking out too, being like, I didn't know it was going to be the baby that was going to be wedging them.
And he was pissed. He's like, "Why would you do that, Cheryl?"
Yeah, but I'm like, Kevin, shut up. Like, you don't even have, like, don't even speak. Like you're not doing anything. Evil. You're literally suing them. The only reason why they're getting married is because of you.
Literally.
If anything, like, Cheryl should be cursing you to stop the fucking lawsuit is what should happen. So they don't get married. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
So then they're like, "I don't know what to do. Like, maybe we should talk to someone, like someone who knows about magic, to make sure that this spell is done." Then it cuts to Veronica talking to Betty about Drake. Love this moment. Thank you so much.
Oh, this will go down as like one of my favorite moments
Loved
of
it.
the season.
Yeah. I think just all of the interactions Veronica had with Betty this episode, I was like, oh my God, Veronica, I love them together so much. Like them as a team and just talking these like girl things out. I was like, I loved it so much.
Loved it.
So they're talking about Drake. Betty basically divulges that she compartmentalizes with Archie about her feelings and her darkness and her dark feelings, whatever. And Veronica says some wise fucking shit this episode, and I was like, girl, yes, this is the Veronica I've been waiting for.
Yep.
She goes, everyone compartmentalizes with everyone, so like don't think that it's just you doing it with Archie. And she says, number one, do not go there with Jake. Like, it is not a situation, because she asked, she's like, Betty, do you have feelings for Drake? Yes or no? And Veronica's like, just don't go there with her. Like, that's very unprofessional, whatever. And then she says, number two, go talk to Archie. And she goes on to say, like, all of my other relationships kind of dwindled because we didn't have these conversations, or we had them too late. So,
like, go do it now.
Go talk to him about it.
Veronica, every wrong thing that she did this season was made up for in this moment, because the fact that she's talking to her best friend about her ex-boyfriend, and like, 'cause she could cut those feelings aside and be like, girl, go get your man, like, go figure it out. Like, and she's serving the real rail. She's like, everyone does that. Like, it's not, you're not a weird person. Like, you're not an unusual person. Like, for sure. You know, it was just such a real conversation. I freaking loved it.
Absolutely. For sure. So I and even right away, like, I already wrote down like MVP just for her advice alone. Like, I was like, I don't need to see anyone else's scenes. Like, I already know who my
and
MVP
just
is.
one of those moments where we always say, like, the best friend element to these two girls, like, that's the true relationship. Like, she went to her and she's like, what do I do? And and she gave her the advice. Like,
I loved it. I loved it so much. So then it cuts to Veronica at the Babylonium with Drake, and she does not waste no time to call this bitch out. This was one of
my best moments.
Yeah, she literally
loved it.
Goes straight to Drake and she goes, hey Drake, so Betty's going through a lot of shit right now, so like maybe you should just focus on your work, keep your libido to yourself. I was like, I died. I was dead. I was like, this is amazing. And then the funny thing is like, Drake is like, got it. And then she walks away.
You know what I really appreciated though? She said it's inappropriate. And I loved that word. To all of this, the fact that they are co-workers trying to literally solve a case and save this girl's life. Veronica's like, that is so inappropriate that you would express your feelings like that to her in this time. Situation. And like, you know, she has a boyfriend. She is in a relationship. Yeah. Like, that's super inappropriate. I loved it because like she called her out. I fucking loved it. And then even Drake was like, "You're right." Like, she didn't fight it. She wasn't like, "No, like that's what." She was like, "No, you're right. Like, I should." Like, that was fucked up.
That's fucked up.
I loved that moment too.
Yeah, for sure. So that was that situation. So I was like, damn, that's amazing. And even at the very end of the scene, Veronica was like, she like patted herself a little bit on the. She's
I'm the best friend of the year.
Nailed it. Yeah. So then it cuts to Heather, and she comes in with a special tonic for baby Anthony, and it cures it like almost right away.
Yeah.
And we get this quick flashback of Riverdale where Cheryl does the same thing when.
Was that what it was?
Yeah, because there's a flash there in Riverdale. The same thing happens to Anthony there, where he can't stop crying. He's colicky, and she like goes into the woods and like puts a little tonic together for it. It's like the exact same thing. So I still I still don't know what these Riverdale connections mean right now. We keep seeing them in flashes, but like, are they remembering them? Is Tony like, oh, I remember that?
So in that moment, who remembered that moment? Tony?
Exactly. But that's the thing. I'm not really sure. The reaction was so quick. It showed Tony talking, like watching, and then it flipped to the Riverdale.
So for me, I thought Tony remembered that.
Right, but again, it like just like, you know, when it happened with the counselor or whatever, the social service worker, like there was a moment where like Tony, like it cut back to Tony, and she was like, oh, like she's kind of like shaking her head. But this time around, it wasn't anything.
It wasn't like that. Yeah.
But actually, go to what you're probably about to say. Maybe that is her power, is the ability to see through the veil, like to see through like the both of the worlds kind of connecting.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ooh, I just got
superpower.
chills. I just got
Me
chills.
too. I
Yeah.
think we're figuring something out here.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, cuts to the interview with a girl in the well, aka Betty. Love the title of this talk. Like I was like, okay, girl. And
What was
of
it
course,
called?
the girl in the well.
Oh, because she was
She
in the well.
was in the well. And
Wait, I
she
love that Alice was the moderator.
Alice
Like,
was the
awkward.
moderator. I died. I was like, of course it's freaking
Why would your
Alice
mom be that
Cooper
moderator?
asking you all these questions. Probably because she never even asked these questions before.
Honestly.
She's like, we haven't had
So
a
how did
deep
you really
moment.
feel, honey?
Yeah. So she's telling the whole story, and then right at the end of it all, somebody asks like, why do serial killers wear masks? And Betty kind of says, oh, it's because, you know, there might be some shame around what they just did, so
Yeah.
like the mask is supposed to protect
Like
them from that,
that.
disconnect them from it. And then they get a phone call, and then sure enough, Alice answers, and it is the TBK, like heavy breathing into the phone.
Like, I love that no one suspected it was him. He's like,
Yeah. He's like,
and they're like, hello, who is
Yeah.
this? Hello?
Anybody?
Who is this?
Oh, okay.
He's like, hello, it's me.
Would you like to buy some chocolates for
who
the
approved
Girl
this call?
Scouts? I know. And are they tracing it? Like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
They're,
Yeah, like
letting
Asian
him,
Drake, like
talk.
fucking do something.
Yeah, he's like, she's like, I still love you, Betty. I'm still obsessed with you.
Yeah.
So anyway, he's talking, and he basically talks about her mask and like the human mask that she's wearing, because truly,
He's like, I don't wear a mask. I don't have a mask.
Yeah. So she's like going off on him. And Alice like finding the clues, and she's like, everyone, we have the TBK live on this chat. Everyone listen in real hard.
Yeah.
And so he makes a really interesting point, and it's something that I never really like thought that far ahead, to be completely honest, because she's been so preoccupied with so many things.
Yeah.
He says to her, I know that you are envisioning this like perfect life. Like, what are you going to do? Buy your big white house with a white picket fence and the red door and live with your all-American boyfriend. Like, that is not how your story goes. Even though she's like, no, but that is what I want. He's like, no, your story ends with you and me like kissing, like in the darkness, because we are the same. And it was a very eerie thing to say, but like, I really never thought about it that way, because yes, we look at Betty and Archie and see how they're like this like special couple, and we love BARCHIE, whatever. Yeah. But the fact that he kind of called her out and was like, is this what you even really want from life? Like, do you want to just sit in a home and be a housewife? Like, is that what you want your life to be? And she was like, yeah, I think I do. And because we saw her so obsessed with Archie and wanting to have a baby in Riverdale, I never really made the connection that like in the real world, Betty might not want those things, or like want them in the same way. Or maybe it was just something that we had to think about at this point in time, because TBK is like trying to manipulate her.
You know what? Having watched the episode now, and you see all the scenes, and you see that ending scene, to your point, in this moment, like, it's true. I'm like, man, maybe Betty doesn't want all those things. Like, true, like he's hitting a point. When you get to see that scene at the end with Archie, it changes everything. It does. Because it doesn't matter if you want the picket fence, or you want a gated fence, or you want a baby here, a baby there. Like, the point is, like, are you in love with this person who like sees you for who you are, and like, do you want a life with that person? Whatever may come of that is up to whatever, right? Yeah, for sure. For me, that ending scene changed everything. Yeah. Like, after it made sense. Like,
yeah, totally. So anyway, so she hangs up. She's kind of shook by it. Then it cuts to Cheryl and Heather talking, and she debriefs Cheryl on the fact that like she shouldn't be using her powers when she's in an emotional state. She's like, that's like basically rule number one of like witchcraft. Like, do not do that. And Cheryl kind of also says that, you know, one of the things that she was also feeling, the reason why like she went that way with it, was because she's like, maybe this introduction of even you coming back into my life, like, I don't want to mess this up again. Like, I'm afraid to like open myself up and trust someone, and it's just bringing it all up. And Heather basically said, like, you know, all I know is we have a second chance at like experiencing each other and getting to know each other, so like, why don't we just have some fun? Yeah. And that's when Cheryl's like, well, yeah, like, let's go to this Babylonian party, like, we'll have a good time. Cuts to the Babylonian party, the Bachelorette. So Tony has her little thing, and we have like a musical.
No, like I need to like record
Moment.
this scene and like keep it on my phone because it was so
It was
amazing.
like
I like texted Jay, like
Gucci,
I'm like, what?
Prada,
She's
yeah.
like black mahi tuna, smoked salmon, Gucci, Prada. I was like, what is this song?
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
for sure. It was like an
what?
anthem.
Filet
Yeah.
mignon. Like, I'm like, are you just naming like expensive food and like expensive labels?
Basically. Basically. It must be in the Broadway because like I'm sure that's where it came
Maybe
from.
it's not. I don't think it's in the.
I'm
I
sure
don't think it's in the
American
movie.
It's definitely not in the movie.
No.
But the people that he would go for would be these like
Yeah, it's true.
fake women who
Like
like
superficial.
superficial.
Yeah, it was
So,
just
like,
such an amazing girls moment. Like it was like
Yeah.
all of them had like they were like like dressed up.
Drinking
like
absinthe,
I
they're
loved
like,
it. Yeah.
drinking
And then
absinthe.
even Veronica with her stupid Katie Keene like always
my
shout
God.
out. She's like Katie Keene sent us dresses.
Like just let Katie Keene die. Like she's not here anymore.
let her
She's been
die.
canceled. Like just end it.
Let her live in New York
let
and
her
not
live.
provide you like endless clothes. Like she needs to do her own thing.
They're trying so hard to bring her back in. They're like,
Yeah.
let's stop making fetch happen. It's not gonna happen. So anyway, they have a good time. They're enjoying themselves. They all like walk out to the party and they're like all clubbing and dancing. It segues into Kevin singing the next song, a part of this musical. Again,
I
whatever.
was like, Kevin, leave.
Like just go. And I got so excited. I got so excited when he had that plastic bag on his face. I'm not even joking.
he thought he was gonna die.
Yeah. So
He's like, just kidding.
yeah, I was so annoyed. I was
I'm
like,
not dead
"Damn it."
yet.
I know. So she's in the crowd. Betty's in the crowd having a good time, and then she sees the TBK like in the corner, and he's wearing like the whatever, like he's wearing like a different outfit. He's
Yeah.
wearing that like undershirt. So like she's pretty sure it's him. She loses him in the crowd. She looks up at the stage, and there is another like TBK dress person putting a plastic bag on Kevin's face. I'm here praying and wishing that it's gonna happen, and
Yeah.
then sure enough she stops it from happening, and it's poor like Colonel Jr. Dr. Colonel Jr. is like
Oh,
the
it
one that's
was? I
like,
didn't realize.
what's a part of the play, like
Aw.
poor guy. So then she's like looking for the real one, and he's like gone. You see this like shot of him like leaving the auditorium or whatever. So anyway, they barely miss each other. Then it cuts to Cheryl and Heather at home, and she shows her a painting of them as kids, which I thought was like very sweet. And
It was
like,
cute. She's like, I drew
very-
this of us.
I'm like, you're getting very, very like that's
Also, like,
effort.
didn't their house burn down? Like, how would that picture
Yeah.
still like be a thing?
Or did she make it recently? Like it's something that she did.
Oh, I
recently.
thought she said she like did it as a
Oh,
kid.
she kept it. I thought she did.
Oh,
She's like,
maybe.
I painted us as kids. I don't know.
Oh,
Who knows?
yeah, it could be. That's
Anyway,
cute.
it was a cute little moment, whatever.
Yeah.
And then she's talking to Heather. She's like, I really enjoyed myself with you. And then they have a little kissy kissy. And then
No, it was a good kiss. Like, it wasn't just like a.
Solid kiss.
It was like a
It was like a-
kiss. Yeah.
And then they go to bed. It kind of like pans over, and they
They
like,
go to
run-
bed.
They run into the
They go to
bedroom.
bed.
They like go and sleep under the covers. So yeah, so now we have Heather and Cheryl. Are
Yeah,
we
like Honey?
shipping them? Like how are you?
No, wait, that can't be it.
No. Honey,
Shether.
Shether. I think that one makes
Right?
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shether.
Are we shipping them at this point? Like, is this?
I like them
what's
right
happening?
now.
Yeah,
I think until like Fangs is out of the picture fully, like then, you know.
Yeah. But I loved it. I thought it was really
Yeah.
cute. I'm into it. I feel like it's a natural progression for them being together and rekindling the relationship. I'm into it.
Yeah.
Then it cuts to Archie talking to Betty about last night and about the last night. So like I guess it's 3 days. And this last night that she's gonna perform a song because Kevin's like, I can't deal with this kind of drama
my God,
anymore.
I
I just
died.
can't do it anymore. I was
I
like,
died.
I hate
I'm like,
you
yeah, they would
so
yeah.
much. Like, just leave. So anyway, she's gonna perform, and then Archie's like, I really think it's a crazy idea. And then
But
they
how
have a really
crazy
long-
is that? Like the fact that she's in the American Psycho.
Yeah, like it
thing.
all like connected.
It all
at the end
came
of it all.
yeah.
So then He thinks it's a crazy idea. She ends up saying like, I'm gonna do it, and I am who I am, whether you like it or not. And
He's
she
like, I
starts to
didn't say
kind of,
anything.
yeah. He's like, oh, I didn't ask
He's
for any
like, I
of this.
literally love you the way you are.
Yeah, it kind of came out of left field because clearly
She
Betty's
was like
going
pushing
through her
that
shit.
like story, and he's like, I literally
Yeah.
love you for who you are, though. Like, I didn't say anything.
I didn't say anything at all.
Yeah.
And like, it's like Betty's basically just like, I need to figure this shit out. Like,
Also,
the
like,
writers gave me this storyline. I can't do anything about it.
Also, like, it's a very hard thing to swallow as the audience when the show has been so dark since the beginning. It's not like Archie lives in a light universe and like
Yes.
fairies and rainbows everywhere. Like, they
Right.
have literally been seen murders,
Yeah,
seen dead
he
people.
killed a bear. Like,
he killed
he
a bear.
knows.
Like, he's like,
He knows.
he knows darkness as well. So it's
Yeah.
not like she's the only dark. And even Veronica says that. She's like Riverdale's dark AF. Like,
Yeah,
don't
she's
act
like,
like you're the
everybody's
only
dark.
dark thing. Like, you know?
She's like, keep your MBNA, like whatever fucking
Yeah.
genetic serial killer G to yourself because everybody got
So that's a hard
issues.
thing to swallow too when like the whole
Yeah.
show is dark. Like, I'm not buying it because like
Yes.
Archie is dark as well. Like,
I think it's just like her having to like they just wanted
Yeah,
to write it
she's, like, in her
just
own,
like
like,
you
world.
said. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So she's like, I'm not sure if I want any of those things. She talks about like these like the kids and the house, and she's like, I'm not sure if I want it. And he's kind of just like, again, like kind of out of left field, being
and
like,
she's like, that's a deal breaker
okay.
for you, right? And he's like, yeah. Like, she was like feeding him like the answer, like
yeah,
almost.
yeah, exactly.
She's like, that's why you and Veronica broke up, right?
Yeah, so it's not helping at all. And so she's like, I'm not sure if I want those things. And he's like, let's just talk after, because clearly
Yeah,
you're
I
going
love
through some
that
shit.
answer.
Like,
Yeah,
chill.
he's like, chill.
Yeah, we'll talk. We'll talk later. So then Betty talks to our girl Veronica, the sage advice giver that she is, and Veronica is like, "Girl, my body count is actually much higher than your body count." And
I was like, true tea.
True
Like,
tea.
Veronica's like, girl, sit down. Don't panic. She's like, I literally have killed so many more people than you have.
Yeah, she's like, "I
And
killed my
it's true.
dad," so like, not the
She's like,
same.
I killed my dad. I killed my husband. I almost like I accidentally killed that guy. And Betty's like, don't like you don't have to go through everything right
She
now.
has to
Like,
go
it's
through
okay.
everything. But so that's when she go
Again, I
says,
love
like,
that moment.
Yeah, I loved it so much. She's like, we're all dark in Riverdale.
Yeah.
This isn't like, and she's like, also, isn't this a decision that Archie should be also making? Like, you can't just like decide for him, like
yeah.
what he's gonna feel. So I was like,
Loved
damn,
it. Veronica,
like
big
live
win.
for her.
big win for our girl. Yeah.
Big win for her this episode. Then it cuts to Betty. She gets called to the office with Drake, and it's the same gun that or it's the same stalker that was trying to like use the knife or whatever. It's the same stalker, but now he has a gun. It's the gun that he bought from the Black Hood off of whatever East
Which is Hal's gun.
which is Hal's gun.
Yeah.
And they confiscate the gun and they kick him out. I thought that he was going to be a bigger problem, but I guess he was just like a weird stalker who just like held onto all this paraphernalia. Like, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
But then as he's leaving or as he's getting kicked out, she like picks up the gun and she starts staring at it.
Damn, it feels good in my
She's like,
hand.
feels real good. I don't know what to do with it. I'm struggling with my darkness again for the 17th time this series. So then it cuts to after the show. So I was kind of disappointed for a second because it shows the after first before we see her actually perform.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it shows like Drake and Veronica just kind of chilling with
Yeah.
Betty, and they're like, I guess he didn't show up. Like he didn't
we
really
missed
like show up
him.
till we missed him.
Yeah.
And Drake asks as she's leaving, she's like, "Who was the song for? Was it for Archie or was it for the TBK?" And then Betty literally is like, "Chill
Goodbye.
your." Put some ice
She literally
down there.
says, like, "I'm
She's
leaving."
like, "Good night." She's like, "Good night."
Yeah.
Like, get out of my fucking pussy. Like,
Like,
out.
honestly, you're so extra right now.
like, calm down. And then Drake is like, "Dee, dee." She like just leaves.
Yeah.
And then we see the performance. So we did get to see the performance.
Yeah.
It kind of does like a
Loved it.
flashback. And then as she's singing, first of all, I know we say this every time she gets an opportunity to sing, but like Lily Reinhart,
forget.
Come on.
I forget
Come
how
on.
amazing she is. And also,
Amazing.
sorry, I forgot to say, but Aaron Westbrook's voice was really nice too.
Oh
Because she
yeah,
sings in the. I guess I don't remember her voice from before.
yeah. She sings pretty good too, for
Yeah,
sure. Like they all have really good
they
voices, but
do. But yeah,
her
sorry,
having
I
a
forgot about
solo
Lily.
ballad, I was like,
Yeah.
I love
And
you.
like her makeup was so good, like the hair, the outfit, everything
Gorgeous.
was just like gorgeous, and the lyrics were like
Yeah.
really good too.
Because
Like
basically
yeah,
it was like her talking about someone, like, should I see through his darkness? Is something wrong with him or something wrong with us? Like, and then it flashes, has all these beautiful Barchi moments that we got to see finally.
mm-hmm.
And yeah, it makes her kind of question like her relationship with Archie. So I guess she is talking about Archie in the song. Like
Oh,
maybe
I
she
felt like
is
she was
trying.
talking about herself almost.
Maybe it was a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
But she does, like, we do get to see these moments. He's really cute. I forget, like in high school when they first got together and they were like like laying beside each other in the
yeah,
bunker, and they didn't know how to like rectify their feelings for each other. Like
yeah,
they, like, I know that it was a time jump, and I'm acting as if like we've been watching 17 seasons of the show, but
yeah.
like them where they are now versus like where they started, it's like
Mm-hmm.
kind of beautiful to watch these memories
Mm-hmm.
kind of come back up.
Yeah,
But anyways, have that moment, and then she it cuts to her at home, like after the performance. She's going through
yeah.
kind of her room and stuff, and she looks through Archie. I think she's at Archie's
She's in
place.
Archie's room and she sees her
Oh
room.
yeah, because she's waiting for him. She texts him
Yeah,
saying like, "Oh, I'm home now. If you want to talk about this," and then it shows the TBK in her room through the window, and so she rushes across like downstairs,
to the
goes to
house.
her
Yeah.
to her house, and sure enough, she opens the door, and there's a guard downstairs, basically brutally murdered, like he's dead.
Yeah.
And then she goes upstairs. She can't find anybody in the room that she was in. She
I
goes
really
downstairs.
thought like there was no TBK and she was just like chasing herself. Like she was
Oh,
seeing him there, but like he really wasn't there.
like you were
So I
waiting
was
the
like
whole time for
gagged when
that
like
twist for
yeah,
her to be like the
yeah.
reveal.
Like she's because technically like she's looking into her bedroom.
Yeah, true.
So like
True.
I thought she was looking at
Like
herself almost like, you
seeing
know?
herself like
Yeah.
becoming evil or whatever.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. But anyway, she goes downstairs. She sees. I love that she walked into the house, saw the dead body, ignored the fact that her brother and her
Yeah.
mom were like in the corner gagged, and
Yeah.
went all the way upstairs, checked her room before she went back
Well,
downstairs.
she wants to make sure to get him. I was like, good job. Like
That's fair.
don't waste this opportunity.
Don't waste the time. So then she ungags them, and then Alice is basically like, he's waiting for you in the garage. Like he said that he was going to wait for you. And then so she goes inside there, and then sure enough, the TBK is
I love how
literally setting up a
useless.
dinner.
Sorry, I love how useless Charles is because like
Useless.
he's
Like, what are you
literally
there
a
for?
serial killer and he's acting like he's a normie. Like no, like he's just like tied up. He's like, oh, I can't do anything. I'm like,
I know.
8
I was
episodes
like,
ago, you were like a murderer. Like, can
yeah,
you do something and help
like
your
go
sister?
do something. Yeah, exactly. I actually agree with that too. I was like, how did he even get into that chair? Like, did he even? Like, what did he do? Like,
Yeah.
and anyway, I was kind of shocked by that too. I was actually waiting for them to be, I know this sounds really dark, but like I was waiting for her to walk in and see like them killed or like
I
him
mean,
murdered. Like maybe even like
someone
Alice
should have been
bawling.
murdered.
Like it's just very like it's like what you say all the time. Such
There's no
low
stakes.
stakes.
Yeah.
They're like, everyone's fine.
Yeah.
Like there's literally a serial killer that you've been chasing for the last 2 seasons.
And you
and
brought
he's in
Charles
the
back for
garage.
what reason?
Yeah, like you could have killed him and it would have
Yeah.
been like a sad moment for the family, and at least like it would have had a bigger
Because
impact. Like
100%, and ultimately it would have shown that like Charles did struggle with him. Maybe he tried to protect Alice
Yeah.
in that moment and like he killed him. Like to me,
Right.
Charles, you're useless. Like
yeah,
what are you
didn't do
here for?
anything. He's just like, I'm healed now, so I'm just going to talk to you about serial killers. Like,
Yeah,
thanks
and I'm
for
like, she would
nothing.
know more than you do. She literally was in that career
Yeah.
as well. So
Thanks for nothing.
like he's
Useless.
acting like he knows so much.
Like you can't even protect our mom. You fucking useless man.
Yeah,
So she goes into the garage. She's talking to the TBK, and the TBK is like thinking that she's gonna like live her best life, like delusionally thinking that she's gonna like sit down with him at dinner, put on this mask.
Yeah, the
I'm like,
mask.
first of all, how are you gonna eat that dinner with that mask on?
Yeah.
It's not even possible. So
what are
I
you
was
having like bubble tea? Like
yeah.
you know?
Just like cut a straw hole
Cut a hole in the
just, like,
mouth.
drink it. It's like, are you drinking smoothies? So then she has this kind of conversation with him. There is a moment where you think that like maybe it's gonna happen,
Because
like
he's like,
maybe
get the mask, Betty. Put the
it's like,
mask over
I
your
know you want to
head.
put it on your face,
And we
and
could
like
go kill your mommy and your brother
yeah, it
together.
got very very dark. And she
I
was
was
like,
like,
I'm not gonna do
she's
that.
like,
And
that
then she
literally doesn't sound like fun.
yeah, she's like pass very
I'd
much on
rather
that.
go see my boyfriend.
Yeah, so she shoots him and then he dies, and then that's it.
Yeah. So
Ha, what?
she shoots him and then it goes black. And I'm like, oh, the episode's done. Like, this is it. Because, like, I
Right.
just figured it was going to be done. And then it came
Yeah.
back. So it must have been
Yeah.
like the commercial break. And I'm like, oh, okay. So
So
then
what? Yeah.
she walks
What are we gonna
out
see next? Yeah.
to the dining room, whatever, living room. And they're like, we heard a gunshot. And she's like, yeah, I killed him.
Is
And
that-
I was like, but is he dead? Like, this is it. Like, why wouldn't you go look at his face?
yeah. I feel like
What
us
did you
as
f- like-
as the audience, I know he's dead. Like I feel like
Do you
in my
think so?
head concluded he's dead for sure. He's dead. I just feel like we need the closure. Y'all are not giving us.
We need the closure. And also, I definitely feel like that was a little anticlimactic. Like,
yeah.
why would he come like that into the garage and like not protect himself?
Yeah,
Like,
for
she had a
sure.
gun pointing at him. Like, he didn't try to like take it from her or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Or maybe he really
He's like,
thought she was gonna be on
she
his
was gonna
side.
show up. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you tied up his like you didn't like TBK. You did not think this through. Like,
No,
I thought you were a lot
not at
smarter than
all.
that. Like the fact that he just like kind of came in and expected her to like after that creepy phone call be like, "Hey boy, where are you? I want to have dinner with you in the garage." Like,
Yeah.
I
But we
didn't
did
get
see
it at
his
all.
dead body. We saw like a pool of blood. So like in terms of like seeing a death on camera, like it was that
dead.
we saw
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
We saw it, and she
And
sits
even
there, like,
Alice asks that. She's like, "Is this really over?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "God, I really hope so." And Betty's like, "I hope so."
yeah. I was like, "What do you mean by you hope so? Like, are you sending him to the hospital and he's gonna get better? Like, what do you mean by that?"
Yeah. Like, can we have a confirmation, please?
So that is the end, I guess,
we
of the
get an email?
TBK saga. Like, what do you like? I know that you
I don't-
said
I don't
it was
know. I don't know.
unfulfilling.
Unless like
It's
he
awful
is
story.
dead. And this is what I always said, right? Like he can, if he doesn't even come back or he dies quick or he dies, like the effects that are gonna take place on her, maybe that's more of the storyline that they wanted
more
to go down
important.
anyways.
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah,
the it's
yeah,
the
yeah.
impact that it has on her that is the
Right.
main storyline.
Yes, yeah, for
But
sure.
they made us wait so long to get to this
I know.
conclusion that I'm like,
I know.
okay, when are you gonna end this whole storyline? then?
Agreed. Yeah, absolutely. I just feel like it was such a ramp up, and we got to this like SlaughterCon, da, 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 like all these things, and it ended up in a garage where like there was no fight, there was no
Yeah.
struggle. It was just like you're dead.
Yeah.
I almost feel like she had to have like a bigger realization because, to your point, if it was all really about like the end of the day, like Betty fighting her own darkness and like he was symbolically like just killed to like kill her badness or whatever, I feel like she would have had a more like bigger conversation with the TBK to say like, yeah, like this isn't my life. You don't know who I am. Like I do have people in my life that I love and I care about. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
am nothing like you. I'm
And they,
nothing
like,
like my
yeah.
father. Like she was just like, my dad tried to trigger me. You tried to trigger me. Boom.
In this
like,
garage, so you're dead.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
you're
just
right.
felt like
It
it was a
just-
little too short
No.
of a conclusion.
And to your point, like if they had killed, let's say he killed Alice, like I don't know. But if there was a huge consequence and it triggered the revenge in her,
Yes.
and then she was on a path of like darkness because like you just fucking killed my mom or
killed my
whatever,
mom.
my
Yeah,
brother
yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever. Now I'm gonna kill you. Like there wasn't even that level of like anger either. She was just like, you're out. Like
Yeah. I was very anyway.
we knew
is
it
what
was gonna be
is.
like this. Like I knew it was gonna be anticlimactic.
I was hoping that it was going to be a little bit more. Like I said, I feel like if you just needed a little bit more dialogue, I would have been like, okay, like we got like
Yeah.
a final conclusion. It's the same thing with Hiram. Like at least we got that voicemail to say like,
Yeah, that's true.
I love you, Veronica. I'm dead now.
Yeah.
You know, like we didn't get that kind of final like book to close. But I guess that's what they tried to do with Archie and Betty's final scene, which we'll talk about in a second. Because before we get to that, we got to talk about the fact that Percival's failed plan this episode gets him talking to Frank about wanting to do something even worse. The price for their defiance will be truly
Yeah.
biblical, is what he
Yeah.
says. And next episode is called Biblical, so it's going to be biblical. The final scene that we get is BARCHIE at their best debriefing what's going on with their situation. And she says some amazing things,
Yeah.
and basically the whole thing became like the
and
best
he does
line.
too. Like
Yeah, he said like the best things. And she's like, I'm afraid of who I am inside. and she's afraid that Archie's gonna be the victim of her darkness, because he's like, I'm gonna like always stand by you. And she was like, you don't know for sure if that's gonna ever change, you know, like she's afraid of what she can do.
Yeah.
And he's like, you may not trust yourself, but I trust you with my life.
My heart. I was like,
bah.
It was like, I know you, like it was just like, it's like he's saying like, I know you even more than you know yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I've known you since you were like 6 years old. Like, I know all these things about you.
Yeah.
And when you look at it as the bigger picture of like the entire series of Betty and Archie, it is so true to who they are as these characters. Like, he has seen her in like the most innocent of times and like the worst of times, and like who she really is on the inside.
And he saw her through it all.
Coming back to that now in like a more romantic sense too, and he's like, no, like I still love you. I was like, oh my god,
I thought it was really, really beautiful. It actually made me tear up because I was like,
oh, me too.
Because it's, you know, like obviously this relationship is very specific to like her trauma, but I think it has to do with everyone and their trauma with their significant other, and the fact that they don't feel like they're enough. They think that they're going to drag somebody down in their relationship, and like, you don't need to be with me. They push people away because they don't want to deal with it. Like, you're not going to love me the way that I feel like I need to be loved, whatever. And like, hearing that from someone means so much, to like hear that feeling of safety, to feel that you know, you can trust me, I'm gonna be here for you.
Because as he was saying it, like she was like getting it more, like she was like, she was starting to like believe it.
Like, and trauma, like people deal with trauma all the time, and the fact that people feel like they're not lovable is like a big thing, and that's why people dig deeper and go darker, because they don't feel like they're ever gonna get that love. And the fact that like he was like, no, that's not what I see. I
freaking loved it.
My heart exploded. I was
and
just like, this is
we
beautiful.
make fun of Archie a lot of the times. We're like, what a little goof, like he's so stupid, like but to hear him say these beautiful words and have this heartfelt moment with her, he was like a full-fledged adult, a full man, sitting there and saying like, I will love you no matter what. Like, I already love you. I loved you from like that. Like, I know who you are. I was like, oh my god, Archie, like you're so hot right now. Like, truly, because we always like, he's always like that goofy guy, but like in this moment he was like dead ass serious, like having this huge conversation. I loved it. Moment. It was and I was so surprised, because honestly from the start I was like, fuck, like this is where they break up. Like she's gonna say like, I'm too dark for you, like I'm out. I'm like, yeah, he's not gonna fight for it. He's gonna be like, yeah, you're right, like yeah, maybe this won't work. Like I really thought it was gonna happen like that, and the fact that he was like, no, we are doing this, I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah,
it shows sweet. Guys, like if you are not a BARCHIE shipper, like I don't know where your brain is, because I'm not saying like VARCHIE can't ever happen again. I'm just saying right now this proves like how strong they are. VARCHIE never had a conversation like this ever.
Which ever. Is and it is an amazing thing to hear, even in the same episode.
Like even her and Jughead
says, like, we never got to this point, you know.
Oh, she said that.
Veronica says like, I never had these conversations before it was too late, you know.
So
like she's reflecting on obviously Archie, but also Reggie, like all the people that she's
probably like her husband, the ex-husband. But like even her and Jughead never talked like this.
I feel like he got to her in a certain point, but I also think that they were high school students. And like, true different now. It's so different. Like she got kidnapped by a murderer since then, so it's a lot. It was amazing. I loved it. And that's the end of the episode. What a great way to like end this episode. So good. So good. All right. Well, let's get into our recap roundups before I start crying again.
Oh, yeah. Recap roundups.
Best moment. My best moment is 100% your best moment. I'll let you say that one. But I'm also going to give it to the Bachelorette Mahi Mahi Tuna song, because it was I literally was like texting Jen, like, I'm like, what am I watching? Like, what are they singing about?
Mahi Mahi. Yeah. So good.
It was so funny. And just to see all the girls together, like having a fun moment, like it was just cute. It was cute to see that.
Yeah. My best moment is gonna go to this final scene. I thought it was like perfectly done. I thought it was beautiful. Literally brought a tear to my eye. Like, can't ask for anything more than that from a show like Riverdale. So I was into it.
WTF moment.
What was your WTF moment?
WTF moment, I am gonna give it to Betty shooting the TBK, only because I was like, okay, that
Like,
was
is
way
that
too
it?
easy. First of all, like he didn't even try to like get the gun from her or anything.
Right.
Like, and then I was just like, is this for real though? Like, are we done with this now?
You're like, please let this type be real.
Yeah.
Man. I'm done with the TBK. My WTF moment is going to Drake professing her love for Betty because
100%.
just like Veronica and just like Betty, I thought it was very unprofessional, very uncalled for, very out of nowhere. Like we saw the moments kind of leading up to this, but like, girl, keep it in the pants. Like we don't need that right now.
Weird when she tried to gaslight her. When she like, it's fine when you're like
Like make
I'm
her
kind
feel
of
a certain way
you.
about it. Yeah.
First of all, no one fucking says that. Like you could see like, let's go out for a drink, like or something to allude to the fact that like you're gonna go on a date. And then I didn't like the way that she was like, I felt like you were giving me vibes. No. Like, who do you think you are?
Like also like we met for 5 minutes. Like chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
Like it's not that serious. And also I have a boyfriend. Like calm your balls. Like literally chill. Anyway, yeah. WTF for sure.
MVP.
Who's your MVP?
MVP, obviously Veronica.
Veronica.
A little bit of Betty too. Like let's like not forget that she killed the TBK. But
She
like,
finally killed the TBK.
I mean Veronica, it's just Veronica, you know?
Yeah. She
It has
killed
to
this
be.
episode. She murdered this episode.
Like
no pun
the best
intended.
friend.
Yeah.
It's so hard now to think that VARCHIE can get back together. It's really hard now because of what the advice like she's able to give to Betty about their relationship.
Yeah.
But hopefully like Veronica learns about herself in this process, right? And like
Yeah.
she takes what she's been saying to Betty and like applies it to her own life. So
For sure. I wonder who that's gonna be with.
Yeah.
Because at this point it'll be interesting to see if like is it gonna be Reggie again?
Does she make
or
it
is she
work
gonna
with
fly
Reggie?
solo? Like is
Yeah.
she gonna like what is gonna be her final storyline? But yeah, she's also my MVP, hands down.
LVP.
Who's your LVP?
Okay, I'm gonna give it to the TBK.
Fair.
Because I was like, bruh, like that's how you're gonna go out. Did you not have like a better plan? Like
like what are you doing?
Are you wearing a bulletproof vest? Like nothing. Like you're good. I just didn't get his like end game.
Yeah.
It was a little like a letdown, and I was like, you could have been smarter than this, but
yeah, I feel like we were expecting more from that storyline, and it kind of just ended this episode. And I was like, okay, like I guess it is done, but like I didn't know if I wanted it to be done this way. But okay.
yeah.
My LVP is gonna go to Cheryl and Kevin because I felt like what they did this episode was not cool. I was not okay with everything that they did, and even though they tried to repair it, I was like, Cheryl, you're not like a child anymore. You're not like a teenager. You're being very irresponsible. Kevin, don't even need to speak on, but like Cheryl, come on, girl. Like we're rooting for you. We're rooting for you to be like a better person, and you didn't. You did some manipulative shit, so I'm not cool. Not cool.
Yeah.
The best line.
What was your best line?
Best line, I'm gonna give it to Veronica.
Mm-hmm.
She's talking to Drake, and she goes, "So here's the thought: keep your libido to yourself and let my friend figure out her stuff. Sound good?" I was like, yes, to protecting
Mic
your
drop.
friend. Like it was such a good, like the fact that they gave them even that scene. I wasn't expecting it to give like Drake and Veronica a scene alone, but it was so good and I loved it.
So good. My best line is going to Archie when he talks to Betty at the very end, and he says, "You may not trust yourself, but I do with my life." Then he tells a story about the bird, and then he says, "All you see is the darkness. All I see is someone who, despite everything that's happened to her, fought, and you're still fighting. The fact that you're worried about hurting me or anyone else, that shows what's in your heart. Do you believe that? Do you believe me?" Like,
Does she say yes to that?
she says, "I think so."
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not like a definitive yes, but I think like she's definitely like I think that's how I feel.
So beautiful.
It was so beautiful, really well written. Like,
And that whole
big
bird
ups to who
scene.
wrote that.
You know, there's a beauty in the fact that they've known each other for so long because the writers can include these little like stories
it's
of
true.
them, like from before that we might not even know as the audience. So
Right. Yeah, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
So well done. I loved
Yeah.
it. I loved it so much.
Okay, let's get into
roundups.
listener roundups. We have a few.
Okay.
So the first one at Super Freddy Art, best moment Archie reminding Betty of the bird. WTF moment Archie's song. Also Alice interviewing Betty. Also when they started talking about Betty's song, I thought I missed it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because then they cut back to it. MVP Veronica, LVP TBK, truly a trash villain.
Garbage
That's
emoji.
good.
It's like a
Best
garbage
line, we're all dark in Riverdale, Veronica. Those are good ones.
Ashoni 5 on it says Riverdale deja vu. WTF Percival controlling Fangs. I guess Anthony isn't a good tether for him because he really doesn't care about him and he's a crappy father. Ooh. MVP Cheryl and Tony. LVP Fangs, Heather, and the fact that Veronica is all of a sudden happy and supportive of BARCHIE, like we've seen her jealous or anything, just not too long ago when her and Reggie broke up and she made it seem like she had feelings for Archie, but still now she's their number one fan. Okay. Also, where's all the Jabitha scenes? I mean,
well, he's
Jughead's
like,
in a
yeah,
pig right now, so
yeah.
Best line, part of me was holding on to the idea that Tony and I were fated to reunite. And best moment, Tony fixing her mistake by telling Cheryl first this time, Cheryl cursing Tangs not having a love connection to curse, Cheryl helping save Anthony, CHONI having joint.
Actually, that's a really good point.
Oh, sorry, I think it was copied wrong. CHONI having joint Riverdale deja vu. That was like, she thinks that it was them both having that moment together when they like had that flash. So that's interesting.
Ooh, I
wonder if
like
is the
that.
case. Yeah.
That's really good. So that's interesting that she said that because like the curse can't like be to them because like there is no romantic connection technically between them, right?
Yeah, I think that's like the gag. Like that's what
Yeah.
she's saying. She's like they didn't even have anything to fight about except for the baby.
So it goes to the kid. Yeah.
So tight.
That's so tight. At BARCHIE lives, MVP Veronica for being a BARCHIE warrior. LVP Uncle Frank. Yep. Best moment, obviously BARCHIE's long awaited I love yous. WTF moment, all the blatant product placement via song. And best line, you may not trust yourself, Betty, but I trust you with my life. And it's like the heart, like the sad emoji eyes.
The crying emoji.
Crying emoji.
At it's Martak says
Marta
MVP.
K.
Oh my god.
It's our girl, Marta K.
No, it's Martin.
Martak.
No, it's a different person's name. When you look
is it?
Yeah, it's not. No, it's not.
Oh,
But
it's
anyway.
Martin. Sorry, Martin.
Yeah. It's at Mart Ack.
Yeah, it's Martak. Okay.
MVP is Tabitha. She really is a soul of Riverdale. LVP Frank. I can't stand his ass seriously. He better get a grip and fight against Percival. Best moment, the ending BARCHIE scene. Betty was really struggling with her dark thoughts and Archie was there to comfort her. He really is the lit window in the dark. That's so cute, so true. WTF moment, so Betty killing TBK just like that. Nah, there is more. I'm sure he survived and ran away when she was freeing Alice and Charles. Best line, all of you see is the darkness. All I see is someone who, despite everything that's happened to her, fought and you're still fighting. And the fact that you're even worried about hurting me and anyone else shows that's what's in your heart. So amazing. I love
So
that
amazing.
so much. And then we have everything else, right? We got CHONI 5 on it. Thank you so much. Double threading for us. That
Guys,
is the episode.
Oh, so good. Oh, so good.
We're getting to the end of the season slowly but surely, and actually quite slowly because next episode isn't airing until the following week.
Yeah.
So we're not going to get a new episode until the June 26th. So wait up for that, and we'll be around to do our little recap as we do. But in the meantime, I would like to thank our patrons of the episode. We have our Rewinder squad. We have White, Nicole, and Cliff. Our Lit Rewinders, Tina, Ann, Soleil, and Kate. And our Mommy Rewinders, Becca, Sarah, Tamala, and Grace.
Thank you guys. If you would like to join our Patreon family, check us out at patreon.com/recap_rewind.
And also make sure you're checking us out on all of our socials, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and you can also find us on Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iTunes. Like, subscribe, follow, review, and comment to stay engaged with us at Recap Rewind. Thanks so much for listening.
Bye.
Bye.